We tell our executives who we work with so closely on their search that as you think about your own value, you must consider as well the values of the organization or the organizations where you'd like to work, and think about the culture and think about fit, matters of fit. If you're an older worker or midlife worker, how do you begin to assess whether an organization where you think you might fit in actually is open to someone of your age, or are discriminatory against people who are older? Is there a way to even get to the bottom of that as you begin your search? Mark, let's stay with you.
Sure. The answer is yes. You can do research first, beginning with you could Google online best companies to work for. You could put in best companies to work for an aged workforce. A list comes out both by industry and by name. So that's one place. Second, you could start profiling the type of organizations where your particular value you bring would work well. And it may be a company that it might be in the midst of needing to be turned around, and they need folks with judgment and experience. I could think back, I was working with an organization where they were under heavy union campaigns, and they needed resources who've been there and done it in spades. They weren't going to risk that to somebody who has never done it before. So matching not only a place by profile and reputation has the the experience of working well and being a proud, great place to work, but really aligning your background with what's out there in the industry to see where your needs or your expertise is most needed. And then thirdly, check with people you know, your network. Once you start getting some prospect companies, ask around, check on LinkedIn, see who's worked there, and get under the hood by just checking with people whose opinion you trust. So those are some ways you can begin to do your research and find out, as you asked, Tony.
Harriet, anything you want to add to what Marcus said about how to begin that part of your journey forward?
I suppose I would add, what is it that you really want to do? For most individuals that I work with, and I think Mark and I end up in a coaching engagement, they don't necessarily want to target a large multinational company. Many of them have had that experience, that expertise, and while they're not ready to retire, they are ready to do something challenging and so on. And so there are many opportunities, some paid positions, some creatively paid positions, meaning equity within an organization, some pro bono, that may interest and challenge someone with a lot of experience. So whether it's giving back to a not-for-profit or perhaps a think tank, if you will, that's looking at helping people with startups. So you're sort of doing some pro bono consulting or being on advisory boards. Those all become potential career opportunities. Generally speaking, as Mark said, the best companies to work for also include smaller to medium-sized companies. And oftentimes those companies are interested in an individual's wealth of experience and expertise to come in and be that mentor, if you will, as a way to contribute to a business. So creativity and breadth sometimes of what you're looking for becomes important.
Mm-hmm. Really great advice. I want to share a portion of a note I got from one of our executive audience members before today's conversation. And it reads, hey, Tony, one way to weed out wrong opportunities is by paying close attention to the language employers use throughout the hiring process, starting with the job posting. So now we're talking about a part early on the experience where you're looking at and thinking of applying for jobs. And you encounter that already daunting description. And the writer goes on to say, look out for phrases like, quote, high energy, overqualified, ninja guru, or digital native, because according to this writer, and this is what I want to quiz you and Harriet about, Mark, according to this writer, often that's code for I want someone younger. So there you have it. Is it code for I want someone younger, or could it be they actually want someone with those skills? And what's the difference there? Mark, let's start with you. How do you navigate the territory?
Yeah, so it's probably code. It could be a number of things that it's code for. Let me go with the overqualified, sometimes called seasoned, sometimes called you're overqualified. So when you look through the eyes and the lens, first of all, through the hiring executive, they want to make sure they get somebody who's going to be there and going to be with them for a while. Okay, and then one of the misconceptions, an older person coming into the work market is there for a very short time. And I love when I got asked that question. So, what's your idea? How long are you going to work? Which I'm not sure if it's actually a fair legal question. I would say, gosh, I think I have a good 10 to 15 years left in my shelf life. How about you? How long, what are you going to be doing in the next 10 to 15 years? So I think, first of all, overqualified, seasoned and all that means maybe the job doesn't pay at the level which they think you might deserve. And therefore, you as the older person, next best offer given, you're out the door and they have to rehire. Okay. So flip side for the executive going after the next position faced with, oh, you're too seasoned, overqualified. I think to be very clear, here's an opportunity that I like. Here's what I bring. This is what I'm really looking for in this next portion of my career. And I'm really looking for something that'll be the end all be all. This makes it important. I think putting it on the table and addressing that head on, if that's something you really want to pursue, is fine. Mm-hmm. And then bringing forward your other value. So that's where earlier I talked about be on the offensive, versus being on the defense.